So you read the title right, I'm trading for every single draft pick. I've seen a few YouTubers do videos where they trade for only the first round picks. I like the concept of these videos, but I want to do something a bit different. So as I randomize the fantasy draft, we're going to get the 6th overall pick, and that means we're getting Andrei Vasilevskiy. Alongside Vasilevskiy, I'm going to select a lot of young rookies that have tons of trade value, and then players on 1-year deals with big contracts so we can meet the salary cap minimum. And we're getting into trades immediately, as I'm sending Vasilevskiy and a 7th to Montreal for Hischier, Laine, Montreal's 2025 first round pick, and Pionk. And the goal here is I want to try to get every single pick for the 2025 draft. Laine, along with a 2nd and 2 5ths, is going to be flipped to Colorado for a 1st rounder and Gurvanov. And then I'm flipping Hischier and a 3rd to Nashville for Lindell. So obviously this season, I'm aiming for the 1st overall pick. Team success does not matter in this video. The only thing that matters is picks. And before we get into the season, Gurvanov, $4.9 million per year for 4 years, Capo Caco, $5.3 million per year for 6 years, and Cody Glass, $1.65 million per year for the next 8. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate through 10 games and we'll see how this team's looking. Through the first 10, we're doing a bit better than I thought we would with a 3-6-1 record. And over the next 15, we did slightly worse, going 5-8-2, and we're currently sitting at an 8-14-3 record. Through 50 games, the team's looking bad. With a 20-26-4 record, we're 8th in the Central and 31st in the entire league. I don't know how there's a team worse than us. Radulov's currently leading the way with 19 points and 15 assists for 34 points. Lafreniere's picked up 7 goals and 20 assists for 27 points, and Pionk's got 3 goals and 22 helpers for 25 points. Pionk's leading the defense, but we already knew that, and Koskinen's picked up 16 wins with a 900 save percentage and a 298 goals against. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate up to the trade deadline, and then we're flipping all of our players that are on 1-year deals. And over the next 11, we were too good, going 3-6-2. I would have preferred if we went 0-11. Now it's time to make moves. A 4th and Radulov's off to Carolina for a 1st. Pionk, a 4th and a 6th, is off to Arizona for a 2025 1st. Goligoffsky's off to Arizona for a 2025 2nd and 5th. Subban's off to the Avs for a 2025 2nd. Chara's off to Winnipeg for a 5th, 6th, and a 7th. And with that move in the books, we're simming to the end of the season. When the season came to an end, things are looking great. We're 29-44-9, 8th in the Central and 32nd in the entire league. We're going to get Shane Wright by any means possible. Lafreniere led the way with 13 goals and 29 assists for 42 points. Lindell picked up 8 goals and 29 assists for 37 points, and Eklund's rounding out the top 3 with 10 goals and 26 assists for 36 points. Edler led the defense with 5 goals and 17 assists for 22 points, and Koskinen picked up 20 wins with an 898 save percentage and a 319 goals against. McDavid led the entire league in points with 42 goals and 70 assists for 112 points. Austin Matthews is coming in second with 42 goals and 58 assists for 100 points, and Sid the Kid's rounding out the top 3 with 46 goals and 48 assists for 94 points. Dumba's leading all defensemen with 8 goals and 63 assists for 71 points, and Sergei Bobrovsky is going to lead all goaltenders in wins with 47 while picking up a 910 save percentage and a 277 goals against. Taking a look at the playoff picture, Vancouver wins the cup over the Philadelphia Flyers in 5 games. Brad Marchand led the way with 17 goals and 19 assists for 26 points, and Carter Hart was our Stanley Cup goaltender, picking up 16 wins with a 933 save percentage and a 213 goals against. Taking a look at the draft lottery results, we got some bad news as this team's dropping from 1 to 2. Luckily, Shane Wright's projected as the 2nd overall pick. We ended up having 5 picks in the draft. We ended up getting Wright, a high elite potential forward, Lambert, a medium elite potential forward, Gaucher, a medium elite potential forward, then the 65th overall picks off to Boston for the 130th, 162nd, and a future 4th. The 130th is off to Boston as well for a future 5th and a future 6th, and then we're going to draft a medium elite potential goaltender. But we're not done yet, as I'm trading the 193rd overall pick to Philly for a future 7th and the 223rd overall. With no rookies to sign, I'm just going to extend some contracts and qualify a few RFAs, but now we're into free agency. I'm going to give Fleury $5 million per year for the next 2, Goudreau $9.2 million per year for the next 7, Evander Kane $8.9 million per year for the next 4, Jack Campbell $5.9 million per year for the next 4, Kemper $5.7 million per year for the next 4, and Perron $6 million per year for the next 2. The reason I overpaid is I need to make sure I get these players, because this is what I'm about to do with them. Goudreau, you had some great time here in St. Louis, but now I'm flipping you to Pittsburgh for a 2025 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and Jaden Schwartz. Kane, along with a 2nd and a 4th, is off to Florida for a 1st. Fleury and an AHL player is off to Ottawa for a 1st. Campbell, a prospect, a 3rd and a 5th, is off to the Sharks for a 1st rounder, and then Kemper's off to Toronto for a 2nd rounder. Now we got to get some more players. Rust, $6.5 million per year for 1 year. Kessel, $3.7 million per year for 1 year. Talbot, $1.7 million per year for 1 year. Letty, 1 year at $5 million. Burakovsky, 1 year at $5.4 million. Rodriguez, 1 year at $4.7 million. Murray, 1 year at $4.6 million. million. Goligoski, 1 year at 4.4 million. And now we got to make some more trades. Perron, you're off to Montreal for Luukkonen, a 4th and a 5th. Rust is going to Seattle for a 2nd and a 3rd. Kosa, a 4th and a 6th, is going to Toronto for a 2025 1st and 2nd. Schwartz is over to Arizona for a 2025 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th. And then Hinostroza, you're coming here for 1 year at 1.1 million. Now it's time to take on some bad contracts. A 4th is going to the Sharks for Keith, a 2025 3rd, 4th, and 5th. A 4th is going to Montreal for a 2025 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and Skinner. A 5th is going to Montreal for Carter, a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. A 4th is going to Arizona for Palmieri, a 2nd and a 3rd. And then a 3rd and a 6th is going to the Islanders for a 2025 3rd, 4th, 5th, and Svechnikov. And with this team full of basically AHL players, I don't expect us to do well through the first 10. And in the first 10, we weren't great, going 2, 5, and 3. But we were better over the next 15, going 8 and 7. So we're currently sitting at a 10, 12, and 3 record. Through 50 games, we're looking way too good. A 24, 22, and 5 record, 5th in the Central and 18th in the entire league. Rossi's currently leading the way with 12 goals and 35 assists for 47 points. Lafreniere is coming in second with 14 goals and 32 assists for 46 points, and Perfetti's rounding out the top 3 with 15 goals and 22 assists for 37 points. Goligoski's leading the defense with 3 goals and 12 assists for 15 points, and Luukkonen's picked up 20 wins with a 902 save percentage and a 307 goals against. So we clearly going to make this team worse. So Lafreniere, a 3rd and a 5th, is off to Vancouver for 3 first rounders and a 2nd, and then Capo Caco along with 2 seconds is off to Nashville for 2 first rounders and Sam Reinhart. So with those 2 moves done, we'll simulate over to the trade deadline, and hopefully this team does worse. So these moves definitely made our team worse, as over the next 12 we went 3, 8, and 1. During the trade deadline, I'm only making 2 moves, which is Kessel to Vegas for a 3rd and a 4th, and then Hinostroza to Toronto for a 7th and a 5th. With those moves done, we'll simulate over to the end of the season. When the season came to an end, we finished with a 34, 40, and 8 record, 7th in the Central and 28th in the entire league. Rossi led the way with 16 goals and 49 assists for 65 points. Perfetti's coming in second with 27 goals and 37 assists for 64 points, and Gurvanov's rounding out the top 3 with 16 goals and 38 assists for 54 points. Nick Leddy led the defense with 8 goals and 12 assists for 20 points, while Luukkonen's picking up 26 wins with a 901 save percentage and a 308 goals against. Evgeny Malkin's leading the entire league in scoring with 92 points, consisting of 43 goals and 49 assists. Alexander DeBrincat's not too far behind with 90 points, consisting of 39 goals and 51 assists, and Jack Eichel's going to be tied with DeBrincat with 31 goals and 59 assists for 90 points. John Carlson's going to lead all defensemen in points with 11 goals and 71 assists for 82 points, while Sorokin's picking up 50 wins with a 920 save percentage and a 241 goals against. In the playoffs, Minnesota's going to end up sweeping the Flyers in the Stanley Cup final. Connor McDavid led the way with 10 goals and 14 assists for 24 points, while Spencer Knight's picking up 16 wins with a 914 save percentage and a 257 goals against. Taking a look at the draft lottery results, we got lucky as we're going to jump from 5 to 2. We only had 2 picks in this upcoming draft, so that means we trade some away. I'm going to trade Reinhart, the 11th overall and the 26th overall, for the 6th, a 2025 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and with our 2nd overall pick, I'm drafting a medium elite potential center, and with the 6th overall pick, I'm drafting Jagger, a medium elite potential center. The moves continue by sending the 39th overall pick to the Ducks for 2 future seconds, the 58th overall pick for a future 3rd and a 4th, so like usual, we're going to sign a bunch of rookies and qualify some RFAs. And then Wallstead, I'm going to give you a 2-year deal worth $800K per year. And with all the cap space we have, it's time to make some massive signings. David Pasternak, you're going to come here for 7 years at $13.7 million per year. Anderson, $5.9 million per year for 4 years. Nedeljkovic, 6 years at a 5.9 AVA. Pacioretty, 1 year for $10 million. Bertuzzi, $7.7 million per year for 3 years. And Horvat, 4 years at a 6.5 AVA. So now it's time to flip a bunch of players. Pasta, you're going to the Kings for a 2025 first, 2 seconds, a 3rd, and a medium elite potential rookie. Horvat's going to Montreal for a 1st, 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th. Bertuzzi's off to Nashville for 2 seconds and a 3rd. Pacioretty in a 7th is going to Arizona for a 1st and a 3rd. Gaucher in a 2nd off to the Ducks for a 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Clark, a 2nd and a 3rd, is off to Buffalo for a 2025 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Jagger and Anderson are being packaged up for a 2025 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then Luukkonen, a 3rd, a 2nd, and a 4th, is off to Dallas for a 2025 1st, 4th, 6th, and 7th. Yeah, we made a ton of moves, but we're not done. Giordano, 1 year at $5 million. Smith, 1 year at $5.8 million. Killorn, 1 year at $5.4 million. Drouin, 1 year at $5.2 million. Ranta, 1 year at $7.2 million. Samsonov, 3 years at $4.4 million. Kerfoot, 1 year at $3.4 million. And Yandel, 1 year at $4.8 million. So like usual, we gotta flip these players. Giordano, you're going to Carolina for a 2nd and a 3rd. Smith and a 4th is off to Detroit for a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Drouin's going to Edmonton for a 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th. Killorn's going to Pittsburgh Collingwood for a 5th, 6th, and 7th. Yandel's going to Seattle for a 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. And then Ranta's going to Winnipeg along with a 2nd for a 1st and a 4th. And we're still not done. Leddy, 3 years at $5 million. Edler, 1 year at $4.5 million. Galgovsky, 1 year at $4.4 million. Johnson, 1 year at $2.6 million. Zucker, 1 year at $4.9 million. Tatar, 1 year at $4.9 million. And then Heponiemi is going to Boston for Whitecloud, a 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Taves is coming here for 1 year at $3.6 million. Nyquist, 1 year at $3.3 million. Burakovsky, 1 year at $2.9 million. And Hornquist, $2.9 million per year for 1 year. Lambert, Glass, and a 3rd is off to Boston for a 2025 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Eklund's off to Calgary for a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Gunther's going to Carolina for 2 firsts, a 4th, 5th, and 6th. Lindell and Leddy are off to Chicago for 2 first-rounders, a 2nd and Comtois. A 2nd's going to Tampa for Grizzlick, 2 thirds and a 4th. A 3rd's going to the Rangers for Sandhelm, a 2nd, 3rd, and 7th. Edler is going to the Rangers for Brown, 2 fourths, a 5th, and a 6th. A 4th, Shimolensky, and Burakovsky is off to New Jersey for Donato, a 6th, a 5th, a 4th, and a 2nd. And the final move is going to be Kubalik for 1 year at $2 million per year. So we got 1 more year until the draft. There's still a few more first rounders that are needed, and then I'm going to do a bunch of smaller trades for the later round picks. So like usual, we'll simulate through the first 10 games and see how this team's looking. Through the first 10, we're not looking too bad with a 5-5-0 record. And over the next 15, we weren't much better, going 6-5-4, and we're currently sitting at an 11-10-4 record. Through 50 games, this team's doing better than I thought with a 24-21-5 record, 6th in the Central and 21st in the entire league. Perfetti's leading the way with 15 goals and 30 assists for 45 points. Tovanen's coming in second with 14 goals and 29 assists for 43 points. And Rossi's got 10 goals and 28 assists for 38 points. Sandhelm's leading the defense with 3 goals and 10 assists for 13 points, while Samsonov's picked up 21 wins with a .909 save percentage and a .285 goals against. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate up to the trade deadline, and we already know this team's selling. Over the next 11 was cause for concern, as this team went 7-3-1, so we definitely have to make some moves. Sandhelm's going to go to the Islanders for a 2nd, a 6th, a 7th, and Cizikas. Taves is off to Vegas for a 5th, 6th, and 7th. Rossi's going to Detroit for 2 firsts, a 6th, a 7th, and Backlund. So with those moves in the book, I would assume this team will be worse, so we'll simulate to the end of the season, and we'll get the first overall pick. So I don't know how, but this team was somehow good, going 44, 31, and 7. We're 2nd in the Central and 11th in the entire league. Perfetti led the way with 30 goals and 52 assists for 82 points. Tovanen's coming in second with 29 goals and 42 assists for 71 points, while Gervinov's rounding out the top 3 with 24 goals and 38 assists for 62 points. Galagowski's going to lead the defense with 3 goals and 15 assists for 18 points, while Samsonov's picking up 38 wins with a .911 save percentage and a .278 goals against. Svechnikov's going to lead the entire league in points with 38 goals and 65 assists for 103. Ovi's going to dominate this season, scoring 60 goals while picking up 41 assists for 101 points, and Backstrom's rounding out the top 3 with 16 goals and 79 assists for 95 points. John Carlson's leading the defense with 7 goals and 70 assists for 78 points, while Varlamov's picking up 40 wins with a .914 save percentage and a .254 goals against. In the playoffs, the Blues fall in the second round, while Calgary sweeps the Leafs in the Stanley Cup final. Shane Wright led the team in scoring with 3 goals and 7 assists for 10 points. Morgan Riley led the entire league in playoff points with 3 goals and 19 assists for 22 points, while Saros picked up 15 wins with a .923 save percentage and a .233 goals against. Taking a look at the draft lottery results, Pittsburgh's going to get the first overall pick. So we didn't make any draft picks during this draft, so we just flipped all of our picks. The 16th overall and the 29th is going to Columbus for a 2025 first rounder, and then I'm flipping the 18th and 24th overall for a 2025 first and 7th. The 20th overall is going to Minnesota for a 2025 first, 4th, and 5th, and then I'm packaging up the 26th overall pick along with Cizikas to the Sharks for a 2nd, a 6th, a 7th, and 2 fourths. A 4th is off to Colorado for a 4th and a 6th, and then I'm going to trade the 110th overall pick for a 4th and a 7th. So I'm going to go ahead and sign last season's rookies, sign a bunch of players in free agency, and then we'll get the rest of our picks needed. So Aho, 7 years at $13.7 million. Nylander, 6 years at $12.8 million. Reinhart, 5 years at $7 million. Stevenson, 5 years at $8.4 million. Taves, 6 years at $6.1 million. Sorokin, 6 years at $5.4 million. And then Comtois is going to the Avs for a 7th. Whitecloud's going to Vancouver for a 3rd. Wheeler, $8 million per year for 1 year. Duclair, $5.8 million per year for 5 years. And now let's get these picks. A medium elite potential prospect in Duclair is going to Vegas for a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and a prospect. Aho, a 2nd and a 6th, going to Tampa for a 2025 1st, 2nd, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Reinhardt's off to Winnipeg for a 2nd, 3rd, and 6th. Sorokin, along with a future 1st, is going to Philly for a 2025 1st and a 7th. Taves, a 2nd and a 3rd, is going to the Rangers for a 1st. Tovanen and a 3rd is off to the Devils for a 1st and a 7th. Perfetti's going to the Islanders for a 1st. first, and then a future first is going to Washington with a 2025 first, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So with that trade complete, I've acquired every first round pick needed for the 2025 draft. I'm gonna go ahead and trade for the rest of the picks, but I'm not gonna show all those trades because I still got like 40 plus trades to make, and a lot of them are for like 6th and 7th round picks. So here we are, we've acquired all the picks, and let's get to the draft. Dallas is winning the cup, but we don't care about that. We want to enter the draft. So taking a look at the draft lottery results, we got the first overall pick. We also got the second. We also got the third. You know what? We got all the picks. I traded for all 224 draft picks. With all these draft picks, I was able to get 8 medium elite potential forwards and defensemen, 5 low elite potential forward and defensemen, and then 4 medium elite potential goalies. So I would easily be able to create a dynasty here. And just like that, this video has come to an end. Thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe because this video took a long time to complete. And if you enjoyed this video, I definitely recommend checking the one out on screen.